originali. A Lady of Letters. Proviamo a fare una traduzione letterale. Abbastanza facile. Una donna di lettere. Ma se vogliamo invece dare un senso più chiaro al titolo di questo monologo di Alan Bennett, potremmo dire una donna che scrive, che vive inviando lettere. Ed è il caso della protagonista di questa storia, di cui in questo episodio di Lingue Originali Marco Piovaz ci propone la terza ed ultima parte. L'autore, sempre Alan Bennett, questo eclettico scrittore dalla vita anche molto particolare, in cui la svolta fra la cattedra di storia e le tavole del palcoscenico è arrivata rivelando un talento che stiamo apprezzando, conoscendo i monologhi che vanno tutti sotto il titolo della raccolta Talking Heads. Lingue Originali, primo appuntamento della settimana, quello con la lingua inglese e Marco Piovaz, ma vi ricordo anche quelli con la lingua tedesca del sabato e la lingua francese, rispettivamente, con Nadia Meroni e Barbara Marchand, sabato, dicevo, e la domenica sera sempre alle ore 22. A voi, Marco Piovaz, terza parte di A Lady of Letters di Alan Bennett.
I've got two social workers come, one white, one black. Maureen, I'm supposed to call the white one. Shocking fingernails, ginger hair, and last week a hole in her tights as big as a 50p piece. She looks more in need of a social work than I do. Puts it all down to men. We all know about men, don't we, Irene? I never said she could call me Irene. I don't want to be called Irene. I want to be called Miss Ruddock. It's not Irene. I haven't been Irene since Mother died. But they all call me Irene. Her, the police, everybody. They think you're being nice. Only it's just a nice way of being nasty. The other one's Asian. Mrs. Rabindi. Little red spot on her forehead. All that. Sits, talks. She's right enough. Said I'd be useful in India. You can earn a living writing letters there, apparently, as they're all illiterate. Something daubed on her door last week. She says it's what you get to expect if you're Asian. I said, well, there's all sorts gets chucked over my wall. We sit and talk, only she's a bit of a boring woman. I tell her I loved my mother and she says how she loved her mother. I tell her I'm frightened to walk the streets and she tells me how she's been attacked herself. Well, it doesn't get you any further. It's all me too. Social work. I think it's just chiming in. I'm on what's called a suspended sentence. It means you have to toe the line. If I write any more letters, I get sent to prison. The magistrate said I was more to be pitied than anything else. I said, excuse me, could I interject? He said, no, your best plan would be to keep mum. Big fellow, navy blue suit, poppy in his buttonhole. Looked a bit of a drinker. Maureen says I should listen to the local radio, join these phone-in things, chat to the disc jockey and choose a record. She says they're very effective in alleviating loneliness and a sense of being isolated in the community. I said yes, and they're even more effective in bumping up the phone bill. Maureen's trying to get me on reading. I suppose to get me off writing. She says books would widen my horizon. Fetches me novels, but they don't ring true. I mean, when somebody in a novel says something like, I've never been in an air crash, you know that means that 5 minutes later they will be. Say trains never crash, and one does. In stories, saying it brings it on. So if you get the heroine saying, I don't suppose I shall ever be happy, then you can bank on it there's happiness just around the corner. That's the rule in novels. Whereas in life, you can say you're never going to be happy, and you never are happy. And saying it doesn't make half a porth of difference. That's the real rule. Sometimes I catch myself thinking it'll be better the second time round. But this is it. This has been my go. New policeman now. Walks the streets the way they used to. Part of the new policy. Community policing. Smiles, passes the time of day, keeping an eye on things. Certainly keeps an eye on number 56. In there an hour at a stretch. Timed it the other day, and when eventually she comes out, she's at the door in just a little shorty housecoat thing. He's in there now. He wants reporting. I ought to be writing up my diary. Mrs. Proctor's got us all on keeping diaries as part of literary appreciation. The other girls can't think what to put in theirs. Me, I can't think what to leave out. Trouble is, I never have the time to write it up. I'm 3 days behind as it is. I'm that busy. In the morning, it's occupation, and I've opted for bookbinding and dressmaking. In dressmaking, Mrs. Dunlop's chucked me in at the deep end, and I'm running up a little cocktail dress. I said I never have cocktails. She said, well, now you've got the dress, you can. That's what it's geared to, this place. New horizons. It's in shantung with a little shawl collar. Lucille's making me a chunky necklace for it in handicrafts. I share a room with Bridger, who's from Glasgow. She's been a prostitute on and off, and did away with her kiddie, accidentally, when she was drunk and upset. Bonny little face, you'd never think it. Her mother was blind, but made beautiful pastry and brought up a family of 9 in 3 rooms. You don't know you're born, I think. I'm friends with practically everyone though, besides Bridget. I'm up and down this corridor more often than not. I'm still on my rounds when the bell goes. They laugh at me. I know, but it's all in good part. Lucille says, you're funny, you, Irene. You don't mind being in prison. I said, prison? I said, Lucille, this is the first taste of freedom I've had in years. Of course, I'm lucky. The others miss the sex. Man, man, man. They talk about nothing else. Mind you, that's not quite the closed book it used to be. Bridget's taken me through the procedures step by step. Whereas previous to this, if I'd ever found myself in bed with a man, I should have been like a fish out of water. Now, as Bridget says, at least I know the rudiments. Of course, I can't ever see it coming to that at my age, but still it's nice to have another string to your bow. They've got me smoking now and again as well. I mean, I shan't ever be a full-time smoker. I'm not that type and I don't want to be. But it means that if I'm ever in a social situation when it's called on to smoke, like when they're toasting the Queen, I shan't be put off my stroke. But you see, that's the whole philosophy of this place, acquiring skills. I sailed through the secretarial course. Miss Macaulay says I'm the first grade 1. I can type like the wind. Miss Macaulay says we mustn't let the grass grow under our feet, and if she goes down on her knees in admin, they might, repeat might, let me have a go on the word processor. Then the plan is Stage 1, I go on a day release for a bit, followed by Stage 2, a spell in a resettlement hostel, where I'll be reintegrated into the community. Then finally Stage 3, a little job in an office somewhere. I said to Miss Macaulay, will it matter my having been in prison? She said, Irene, with your qualifications, it wouldn't matter if you'd been in the SS. But the stuff some of them come out with, you have to smile. They have words for things I didn't know there were words for. And in fact, I swear myself on occasion now, though only when the need arises. The other evening, I'm sat with Shirley during association. Shirley's very obese, I think it's glandular, and we're trying to put together a letter to her boyfriend. Well, she says it's a boyfriend, only I had to start the letter 3 times, because first go off she says his name's Kenneth, then she says it's Mark, and finally she settles on Stephen. She stammers, does Shirley, and I think she just wanted a name she could say. I don't believe she has a boyfriend at all. Just want to be in the swim. She shouldn't actually be in here, in fact. She's not all there. But there's nowhere else to put her, apparently. She sets fire to places. Anyway, we're sitting in her room concocting this letter to her pretend boyfriend when Black Geraldine waltzes in and drapes herself across the bed and starts chipping in, saying, was this boyfriend blonde? Did he have curly hair? And the nasty personal type questions she shouldn't know better than to ask Shirley. And Shirley's getting confused and stammering, and Geraldine's laughing. So finally I threw caution to the winds and told Geraldine to fuck up. She screams with laughing and goes running down the corridor saying, do you know what Irene said? Do you know what Irene said? When she's gone, Shirley said, you shouldn't have said that. I said, I know, but sometimes it's necessary. She said, no, Irene, I don't mean you shouldn't have said it, only you got it wrong. It's not fuck up. I said, what is it? She said it's fuck off. She's good-hearted. Sometimes Bridget will wake up in the middle of the night, shouting, dreaming about the kiddie she killed, and I go over and sit by the bed and hold her hand till she's gone off again. There's my little clock ticking, and I can hear the wind in the poplar trees by the playing field, and maybe it's raining, and I'm sitting there, and I'm so happy.
A Lingue Originali, Marco Piovaz ha letto per voi in lingua inglese. Lo ritroveremo su Caffè Italia la prossima settimana, venerdì, sempre alle ore 22. Ma Lingue Originali è in onda anche il sabato con Nadia Meroni, con la lettura in lingua tedesca, e la domenica con Barbara Marchand, per quella in lingua francese. Vi ringraziamo per l'ascolto e vi diamo appuntamento a Lingue Originali fra 7 giorni, sempre su Caffè Italia, la radio e il podcast dalla Roma Italiano, e non solo.
Lingue Originali.